I swear I thought it was just a normal flight. Until one tiny moment made my whole world crash. The moment I stepped onto that plane, I felt something weird in my chest, like a soft, whispering, "You better stay alert, girl." My husband kept checking his phone and acting all jittery, and I kept thinking maybe he is stressed about this Washington trip, but deep inside, something felt off. When I saw him sneaking glances toward the aisle, I felt this sharp "oh" in my stomach. The air host kept smiling at him like they shared some inside joke, and I tried to brush it off. But every second felt heavier. He leaned in close to whisper something to her. When he thought I was asleep and that moment hit me like a truck, I pretended to close my eyes, but my heart was pounding so loud, I thought the whole plane could hear it. I felt betrayed before even knowing the truth, but I also felt this fire building inside me, pushing me to find out what the hell was going on. And that is when the real nightmare of this flight began, pushing me straight into the next shocking moment waiting ahead. As the plane lifted off, I felt myself sinking deeper into doubt, and this painful kept echoing inside my mind. My husband kept acting sketchy, shifting in his seat, and giving me that fake smile anyone could see right through. The air host walked by, brushing his shoulder, like it was some kind of secret signal in that tiny touch made my throat close with an "oh" I could barely hide. I tried talking to him about our plans in Washington, but he kept zoning out like he wished I would stop talking. I noticed the air host watching him from across the cabin, her eyes bright like she owned him. And that hit me harder than any turbulence. Everything felt staged, every look they shared, every quiet laugh, every stolen moment. My hands were shaking, but my will was getting stronger. Something was up, and I was done pretending I did not feel it. I knew the next part of this flight was going to rip something open inside me, and I was ready to follow that feeling, no matter how much it hurt. And just then, another clue landed right in front of me, pulling me deeper into the truth. I leaned back, pretending to relax, but my mind was racing so fast I could barely breathe. My chest felt tight as I watched my husband texting nonstop, hiding his screen every time I glanced over. The air host walked up with that same flirty sparkle and handed him a drink he did not even order, which made an jump out of me in pure disbelief. He thanked her in this soft voice he never used with me, and my heart cracked open just a little deeper. I could feel something slipping through my fingers, but I refused to let it go without knowing the truth. Their eyes kept meeting like they were sharing a whole silent conversation, and every second felt like a slap. I could tell there was something bigger happening, something I was not meant to see, but destiny pushed it right in front of me. I felt this mix of pain and courage swirling together inside me, making me ready to confront whatever came next. And just when I thought I had seen enough, something unbelievable happened right in front of my eyes, pulling me into the next twist of this heartbreaking story. The air hosts leaned down, whispering something to my husband, and the moment her lips got close to his ear, an awe exploded in my chest so loud I grabbed the armrest. He smirked at her in a way that made my entire world tilt. I felt this heavy storm building inside me while he acted like I was invisible. She slid a small folded paper onto his tray like they were passing secret notes in high school, and that moment paralyzed me. My hands went cold, but my soul lit up with pure determination. I kept staring at that folded paper like it was the key to everything, and I knew I had to see it. My husband tried to hide it, but I caught a glimpse of her handwriting and something inside me snapped awake. I decided right then. I was done being silent, done being blind, done being the one, always trusting. The truth was calling me louder than my heartbreak, and I knew I had to follow it. The next moment, I made a bold move that changed everything, pushing me deeper into the real face of this betrayal. When he went to the restroom, I quickly grabbed the note, his secret. Little treasure he thought I would never see. My hands trembled as I opened it and read those words that felt like knives. She wrote she missed him and could not wait for Washington, and that tore something inside me I did not know could break. My heartbeat felt like thunder and I could barely swallow. Tears filled my eyes, but I wiped them fast because I was not about to let them win. I knew this was more than a fling. This was a hidden world they had built behind my back. I felt this heavy wave of betrayal mixed with anger pushing me forward, making me ready to confront him no matter the outcome. The whole plane felt smaller, like the walls were closing in, but my courage grew larger every second. When he returned and saw the note in my hand, his face went pale and I knew I had him. And that moment triggered the next explosive twist that took the story into a whole new level of pain. The moment he sat down and saw the note in my hand, an awe slipped from his lips, like he was caught in a crime scene. He tried grabbing it from me, but I pulled back and gave him that stare that said, "I know everything." He panicked, whispering excuses that sounded like broken lies. The air host kept glancing over, looking nervous, and that moment sparked a wave of anger in me, like fire rushing through my veins. I confronted him right there, throwing every question at him, and he kept tripping over his words. People around us started noticing, but I did not care because the truth was finally shaking out of him. My voice cracked, but my strength stayed solid. I told him I deserved honesty, and he looked away, unable to meet my eyes. That silence told me more than any words ever could. And his next response pushed me into the most heartbreaking realization of this whole twisted flight. He finally admitted they had been talking for months, and that awe surged through me like lightning. He said he was confused and needed time, which made me laugh in disbelief. Because confusion does not create secret notes or stolen glances or hidden smiles. The air host looked guilty but stayed back, unable to face me. My heart felt bruised, but I kept standing tall because I knew I had to hear every truth, even if it crushed me. Oh, his voice cracked when he said he never planned for me to find out, but somehow that hurt more. I realized I had been living next to a stranger, pretending to be my partner. The plane felt colder, the world quieter as everything sank in. But there was still one more truth he had not said, one more peace waiting to shatter the last part of my trust. And that truth came crashing into me with the next outline. He looked down like he was scared to say the next part, and that sounded like a scream trapped inside my chest. He confessed they had met before this flight, and that they had been planning to meet again in Washington. My breath left my body, and that felt like my soul just cracked open. I felt sick, betrayed, shattered, but not defeated. My voice shook as I asked him how long he planned to play me like a fool. He kept whispering he was sorry, but Sarah felt like dust blowing away. With every lie I remembered, I stared at him, wondering how someone can share a life with you and still hide a whole different world behind your back. The air host finally stepped closer, wanting to talk, and that moment made the entire cabin freeze. I knew this conversation was about to drag the truth out even deeper, leading straight into the next emotional hit. The air host stood there looking scared and guilty, and her voice was soft when she said, she never meant to hurt me." I could barely look at her without feeling my heart twist. She admitted she knew. He was married, but believed him. When he said things at home were falling apart, hearing that burned inside me because I had no idea he told anyone such lies. She looked ashamed and said she thought he was honest and wanted something real. My chest tightened because I realized I was not only betrayed, but replaced in someone else's story. I told her she had no idea what she stepped into, and she agreed with tears in her eyes. The whole moment felt painful and surreal, like I was watching my life crumble from outside my body. But I was not done. I needed to hear everything, and I needed my husband to face the weight of what he created. And the next moment took the story to the breaking point. My husband finally broke down, saying, he never meant for things to go this far, but those words sounded empty. He said he felt lost, and she made him feel alive. And that, stabbed me deeper than anything else. I wanted to scream, cry, run, disappear. But I sat still because I wanted him to hear every ounce of pain he caused. I asked him if he ever thought about me while building this secret life. He stayed silent, and that silence tightened every wound. The plane kept flying like nothing happened. But inside my world, everything was crashing. I realized love without loyalty is just a pretty lie. And I knew I needed strength for the next part because I was finally done being the forgiving wife. The next moment was the final turn, the one where I made a decision that surprised even myself. I wiped my tears, took a deep breath, and said, I was done. He stared at me, shocked, like he never expected me to stand up for myself. I told him Washington would not be a trip for healing, but a wake-up call. The air host stepped back quietly, realizing this chapter was ending right here. I felt freedom rising inside me, even though my heart was breaking apart. I told him our marriage deserved better than lies and secret notes and stolen smiles. He begged for another chance, but I felt stronger than ever, knowing I had already been strong for too long. I promised myself I would not carry his guilt or his choices any longer. And as the plane began to descend, I felt something shift inside me, leading to the final emotional moment that wrapped everything into one powerful ending. When the plane touched down in Washington, I felt a heavy awe leaving my chest, like I was letting go of years of pain in one breath. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and told him I was choosing myself for the first time in a long time. He whispered, please stay, but his voice no longer had a place in my heart. The air host kept her distance, understanding the damage was already done. I walked down that aisle, feeling the weight lift off my shoulders with each step. The betrayal hurt, but my strength grew stronger than the pain. I realized I did not lose anything that belonged to me. I left behind a man who could not value loyalty or love. And as I stepped out of the airport into the cold Washington air, I knew this was the beginning of a new chapter where I finally put myself first and never let anyone break me like that again.